Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and this is Tyrael 2K3. He's from Switzerland, and today he is sailing the American Tier 10 battleship, the mighty Monty, the USS Montana. I don't think I've ever done a Montana replay before, although if I have, I'm sure many of you will be only too quick to point out my mistake, but I certainly don't remember doing a Montana replay before. But, well, I don't really get sent many Montana replays, and I suppose the reason for that is because the Montana is considered to be the weakest of the Tier 10 battleships, although take that with a pinch of salt. I mean, in World of Tanks, the Object 430 is considered to be the weakest of the Soviet Tier 10 medium tanks, but that does not mean it's a bad tank. Far from it. So, what is it about the Montana that makes so many people think, well, no, actually I think I'd rather have a Yamato? And it's because of the guns. The Montana has 12 16-inch or 406mm guns. That's a lot of firepower, but these are basically the same guns that you get on the Iowa at Tier 9. The only real difference being it's got 3 more of them in one additional turret at the rear. There are other differences, of course. The Montana also has better belt and deck armour, but it's really the guns, because at 406mm they cannot overmatch the 32mm of bow armour that most other battleships at this kind of level have at the front. The Yamato can with its 460mm guns, but you can't do it in the Montana, which means that if you're facing an equivalent or near equivalent tier battleship from the front and he's angled quite well, you're not going to penetrate or score citadels with your armour-piercing shells, so you have some choices to make. Oh, hold on a second, a Des Moines broadside on. Oh, that is a paddling. If ever I saw one. This is one seriously heavy broadside, by the way, 16-inch guns or no. And in what world are 16-inch guns? Oh, look at that. Oh, the Des Moines done. He's gone. Yep, they've got him. Tier 10 cruiser. Deleted. Quickly as that. As I was saying, in what world are 16-inch guns considered weak? I mean, these are seriously big guns. They're just not as big as the 420mm guns that you can have in the Gross Kurfürst, or the 460mm guns that you can have on the Yamato. Oh, hold on. Hello, Mr. Tirpitz. Montana calling. Oh, we've lost sight of him. Wait, let's see. How many are going to hit? Wait for it. There we go. Yeah, about 10,000 damage. No citadels, but a couple of penetrations. Oh, hold on. Wait a second. Here's another victim. Actually, no. No, Tyrael's going to hold his fire because the wall of skill from the friendly Shimakaze hidden in the smokescreen over there appears to have done the job. Enemy team aren't doing too well so far, are they? But anyway, I keep getting sidetracked. Yes. If you're in the Montana and you're facing an enemy tier 9 or 10 battleship and he's angled well, you're not going to penetrate him from the front, certainly not in the hull. You then have to make a couple of choices. You can either wait and hope he gives you a better angle, and there's no guarantee that he's going to. Oh, Yamato. What? No, don't look at me like that. I have to do that when the Yamato appears. It's in my contract. He's dodged the return salvo from the Yamato, but in turning to port like that, in order to not get bitch slapped by the Yamato, he just made himself a perfect broadside target for that other enemy Des Moines, and he did take a substantial amount of damage there. And you know those battleship players that just cruise around on the map border, firing broadsides at targets 20 kilometers away and hitting maybe once out of every 12 shots they fire? Tyrael is not one of those battleship players. He's going to be playing the Montana very aggressively indeed. Now, that may not necessarily actually be out of choice, because look at the number of ships, look at the volume of fire that's getting ready to pour in his direction, and if he was to turn the ship around and head back in the other direction, he would have to show the broadside of his ship to all of these enemy guns, and that could have fatal consequences. So he's kind of committed to sailing towards these guys, whether he really wants to or not, and just look at the beating that he takes while doing it. And this is mostly at the hands of the cruisers and the high explosive spam. There's a rune up there in the smoke screen, so there's obviously an enemy destroyer up there somewhere as well. So he doesn't really... There's the torpedoes. He doesn't really want to turn to starboard and head around the side of that island to the right, because hello torpedoes. At the same time, his options are extremely limited here. I mean, this is just a withering volume of fire that's coming in his direction. And he was in serious trouble here because he's not really capable of returning too much effective fire. Now he's getting shot at from the flank, and that's when a rockstar teammate comes to his assistance in the Udaloi and lays a smokescreen. Look at this. What an absolute superstar. And now they can't see him, but he can still see all of them. Now he's not completely out of the woods yet, because that gap that the Udaloi just fired some torpedoes through is a very, very obvious torpedo target, particularly with the smokescreen on this side of it. And that Arago over there is thinking exactly that as he swings the ship around to get his torpedoes fired through this gap. But it's as if he's forgotten that there's a Montana over here. And Tyrael's wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Now deleted. You don't want to be doing that, sunshine. Not with 12 16-inch guns at this kind of range. There was just no way the Arago was ever going to survive that. So Tyrael's sitting here thinking, well, that was a spot of luck. Well, his luck is still in, because any second now he's going to spot another broadside target, and it's the Yamato. The Montana may just have 16-inch guns, but it's got one of the heaviest broadsides in the game. And the Yamato just felt the full weight of it. That's 37,000 damage, 2 citadels, and a couple of penetrations. And the Yamato can't see him to return fire thanks to the smokescreen laid by the Udaloi. He's now on 120,000 damage done. There is another smokescreen up there, however. That, I believe, is the enemy Benson. He's going to get some more shots into the Yamato, but there's no way he's going to do the same amount of damage now that the Yamato has turned away. The trick here, well, he's done some. It's all adding up. He's now on 127,000 damage. The trick here, of course, is that, oh, the smokescreen's gone, and he's still struggling to get off those rocks. Now, luckily, the Yamato was only able to fire at him with his rear turret. So that was just 3 460mm shells, and he didn't do a very good job of hitting him. But he needs to get out of this gap, because there is a Benson over there somewhere, and you're a sitting duck for torpedoes while you're stuck in this position. Now, earlier on I was talking about the inability of these 16-inch shells to overmatch the 32mm of bow armour that you typically find on battleships at this kind of level. Trying to talk about it and kept getting interrupted by events as they unfolded. But here's a perfect example. Tyrael's got the front of his turpits to shoot at. He's not going to penetrate the bows of the turpits and score citadels, so he's got a choice, and the choice that he made was to raise his sights and go for the superstructure shots, and that will do some damage. But these are the choices that you have to make in the Montana when you're facing an angled battleship. Do you reload high explosive? Do you go for a superstructure shot? Or do you wait and hope he's going to turn and give you a better target to shoot at? The Yamato, with its 460mm guns, doesn't... Oh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. It's a North Carolina. I like the North Carolina, you know. It's a very, very good-looking ship. This one, though, not so much. This one's looking just a little bit used. Oh, wow. Okay, so... kill number 2, 147,000 damage done. That Des Moines is proving to be a bit of a pain in the arse. That thing has auto-load. Oh, hello. Would you believe it? This time it's the Shimakaze. Yet another rockstar move from the destroyers on Tyrael's team. Lovely smokescreen there, laid to protect the Frederick the Great and Tyrael's Montana by the Shimakaze. Unfortunately, the enemy team are wise to these smokescreen tricks by now. There are spotter aircraft airborne which have just spotted Tyrael in the Montana, and they're also going to be using radar to pinpoint their locations and keep the fire up. This turbot, however, is unlikely to survive the next few seconds. Tyrael looking to see if he needs to take the shot, but no, friendly Zhao took him out. And I believe there was also that pesky Benson spotted over there for a second. Despite the smokescreen, Tyrael is still spotted. Enemy radar's got him located, but he's managed to recover a bit of health. The guns are all loaded. He just needs something to unload them on. Benson would be nice. Oh, hello, there he is. Wait, no he isn't. So, who's he going to go for? There's an Iowa over there at close range with a lot of health remaining. Now, these 16-inch guns will have no problem whatsoever penetrating the belt armour of an Iowa. Hell, if you aim above the belt of an Iowa from the side with 203mm armour piercing, you can citadel this thing. Shots out. Iowa's seen him, he's returning fire. Iowa's hit, but the damage isn't severe. He has lost a gun turret, looks like the rear turret is out. His return fire was ineffective, and the Iowa was exceptionally lucky to not get blown out of the water by a full broadside from a Montana at those kind of ranges. The Frederick the Great is opening up on him, but the Frederick's guns are not particularly accurate, and he doesn't do a lot of damage. So the Iowa has just been blasted in one side by all 12 of the guns on the Montana. So what does he do? He turns the ship around, and he gives Tyrael the other side of the ship to shoot at even closer range. And if you thought the Attigo took a paddling, you ain't seen nothing yet. Holy shit. 237,000 damage done. Mostly thanks to that Iowa. Shortly afterwards, our little rockstar friend in the Udaloi, Bexbone over there, he uncovers himself an enemy Benson. Now, battleships shooting at destroyers. Ideally, you want to have high explosive loaded. In the Montana, however, sure, your armor piercing is going to overpenetrate and it's only going to do 10% damage, but it's the amount of armor piercing that you're capable of delivering with a broadside salvo of these 12 16-inch guns. And that is kill number 4. A minute or so later, there are just 3 enemy ships remaining. There's a Gearing-class destroyer, the Yamato, and this rune that Tyrael is just setting up to delete when, plot twist, he goes unspotted. Bugger. Meanwhile, as Tyrael is attempting to reacquire the rune, there's a bit of drama happening off camera. The Zhao on the friendly team and that Yamato are about to annihilate each other as the Zhao closes to torpedo range, gets the torpedoes away, succumbs to the Yamato's guns, but manages to finish him off with the torpedoes for a flesh wound award. And then Tyrael momentarily reacquires the rune. Well, actually, it's the destroyer up ahead that does it for him, but just as he gets the perfect chance to shoot between the cathedral and the rocky outcrop on the island over there, 6 of the shots strike home with only 1 overpenetration for around about 20,000 damage, and the Confederate award to go with his devastating strike and high caliber. The rune, temporarily unspotted and probably feeling very, very sorry for himself at this stage, as he piles on the speed and desperately tries to get into the cover of the headland up ahead. But Tyrael's managed to get the guns reloaded. Salvo out. This has to be a kill and a Kraken. The Udaloi's spamming him with high explosives as well. It's looking good. Not good enough. 231 health remaining. No Kraken for you, as the Udaloi takes the kill. Oh well, never mind, you can't win them all. But seriously, 231 health remaining. Tyrael, you were robbed. That rune should have been wearing a mask. And then suddenly, 1,000 points reached. Game over. They never did find that enemy gearing. He scuttled away to the top northwestern corner of the map and hid like a big girl, afraid of getting his pixels damaged. But whichever way you look at it, it was a good game for Tyrael. That's 265,000 damage. Confederate, high caliber, 2 devastating strikes, multiple citadel penetrations, nearly 3,000 base experience, in what's generally considered to be the weakest of the Tier 10 battleships. Tyrael 2K3 from Switzerland in the Montana. Thank you for sending that one in. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.